right now we've got 4 reactors that are destroyed, and the problem is that current news is that the Tokyo Electric Power Company, using Japanese government money, is trying to build a 1-mile perimeter around the 4 reactors that are destroyed, and to sink about 90 feet long pipes into the ground, fill it with refrigerant, and then freeze an ice wall around these damaged reactors so that groundwater flowing off of the mountains behind the reactor wreckage doesn't flow into this site and create more contaminated water. They've already got about 400 million gallons of contaminated water a day just from trying to keep these reactors cool, and more water flowing in that then clean water that gets contaminated. They've got a real sorcerer's apprentice kind of situation going on there, where they're being flooded and flooding the Pacific with contaminated radioactive water.
Right. But if they stop flooding the Pacific with contaminated radioactive water, well, they've got to be continuously pouring water over these melted reactor cores to keep them from really going China syndrome. And that's going to produce contaminated water because the fuel rods are not all melted, but many of them. And so what are they going to do with all this contaminated water if they don't let it flow into the Pacific?
Well, the idea is of this ice wall is to divert just a fraction of the water that's coming into that site. And so the ice wall will, this is an unprecedented operation. They usually use this kind of technology for short-term freezing around underground, under bodies of water so they can drill tunnels. And but that's only temporary. We're talking decades of trying to keep this process operational.
Are they using like liquid nitrogen or something to freeze?
It's your typical refrigerant. They're going to get this. The idea is to get the water to freeze at around 22 below zero Fahrenheit. And as the water contacts this refrigerated wall, it will freeze and, down to the bedrock. That's the idea. But, they've got water constantly pouring over these reactor cores. There's 3 of them that are melted. And that water is going to have to, the idea is that it's going to be treated through a giant filtration system right now that basically just pumps all this water into more than 1,500 giant tanks. They've had this enlarging tank farm there on the site, and they're hopeful that they're going to be able to treat that water. But this operation's been breaking down constantly since they've initiated it. So this is really a new concept on the movie Frozen that they're trying to concoct right now.
It's not funny though.
The prospect of fighting this is going to be daunting.
Oh yeah, and it's going to have to last for decades or centuries. And Paul, how much of this radiation is reaching the United States?
Well, we're only now beginning to see the very front edge of the plume coming around the northern Pacific, past Alaska and Washington and Oregon. Monitoring networks are still going up right now. Basically what we've got going right now at best is computer models. They're now beginning to try to set up actual monitoring of kelp and fish. But the problem is that the U.S. government is still not getting behind this operation for monitoring for the radioactive plume, and it's largely money from academic institutions.
I can tell you, I lived in Germany. We moved to Germany the week after Chernobyl melted down, and their standard for radiation in milk was 5 becquerels per liter. They raised it up to 50, then they raised it to 500, then they raised it, I think, again to 1,000. And they pretty much there was just, there was a blackout on news coverage about radiation. I had one of these little Geiger counters, and I'd walk through the supermarket, and there were some things like mushrooms that would just trip the thing. It would just go brrrr, like that. It used to horribly embarrass my wife. But it's like every country, it seems, wants to just bury this information.